So I wrote like in late February this piece that I honestly felt pretty good about, talking to Klay about his adjustment to the 6-man role. And in that story, and you know, reporting wise, we all have these moments where, like, in hindsight, admittedly, I regret not being more direct with some of the information that came my way at the time. I had one paragraph in that piece that talked about how the relationship between Klay and Warriors owner Joe Lacob had been strained throughout the season. And I kept it kind of vague, and it was deep in the column. And honestly, we're all human, right? So part of you is like, man, the Warriors are trying to make this work. I don't need to jam them up right now. But like the intel at the time was like, damn, Klay is pissed. You know, like, because it goes, you know, way back farther than the offseason. From an ownership standpoint, there wasn't much, if any, communication throughout the season. There wasn't any sense of like, hey, we know that you're not thrilled with last summer and the idea that Draymond Green got 4 years for $100 million, and we only came your way with half that. But there was no sense of like, trust us, we're gonna make this right. There was none of that. There's no messaging. You know, Steve Kerr had his own relationship with Klay where they made that work, and so I don't want to, you know, mischaracterize it and say that it was all throughout the organization. But above Steve, and I think above Mike Dunleavy, like, it wasn't good. And that stuff mattered a lot. And there was confusion in Klay's camp about why they were playing it this way. Now, in hindsight, it feels a little bit like maybe ownership, you know, already knew that they were going to be saying goodbye. And so what do you do when you already know the end is near? You maybe disengage a little bit. But, you know, the feelings are hurt, Raja. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. And I think it's pretty raw. And this is a guy that, the part where I feel bad for Klay, and I've certainly never been in his shoes as an elite athlete, but what you constantly hear is he's really, really struggled to reconcile with the injuries that just took 2 years of his prime away. And that's just something that, you know, he's talked it through like crazy. It's been front and center for years, but he is still not over that. And he still, to a degree, sees himself as that guy from before.
You know what's tough? Sorry, Logan, but you know what's tough about the Klay situation? Like, I've never been a Klay Thompson either, but I had my own, you know, injury kind of riddled last couple of years of a career that I could maybe draw a reference to. And mine, you know, while I wasn't a Klay Thompson talent, the injuries kept me close to what I was, but just far enough away from it where I wasn't as effective, right? And when you're that close to what you think you always were, it's really hard to see it. Everyone else sees it, but you just think it's right there, right? And so I only say that because Klay, you know, since he's been back, hasn't been the same, but man, he still can play.
Still really good. Yeah.
It's not like he fell off a cliff in a way that you would have to say to self, hey, I just don't have it anymore. And that's the tough spot to be in, where it's like, no, guys, look, I believe it, I see it, and I'm one game away from it. And that one game just is never coming, right? Like, you're just a different person, but you haven't fallen off the cliff either. So yeah, it's a really tough spot to be in for a lot of pros. You see it happen towards the end of those careers, man. Like, it's tough, and it sucks for Klay in the situation with Golden State, where there's so many people to take care of, because usually I think in a perfect world, you take care of the Klay Thompson.
Sure.
You know, but like,
and I mean, in the Warriors' mind, they felt like they were, right? In the Warriors' mind, they felt like they were taking care of Klay at this stage, right?
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
They did, right? Because they did give him a max when he was injured, and he didn't even play through those 2 years when he was injured, and they still signed him. Right. And then even on this 2-year extension, me and Roger talk about this all the time, bro. We're giving you over $20 million, 24. Last year was like 24 a year, and he turned it down. And we're giving you a better and longer term offer than most teams will give you. Why are you being so angry when we're taking care of you?
The reason is because the dude from the Lakers gets $8 million a year. I started the show with
Max Christie. Yeah,
Max Christie.
But that's the reason. Like, that's the reason.
I have it on my phone here, Raj. I thought Isaiah Hartenstein was the guy you were going to come for. $87 million.
I like Isaiah. At least with Isaiah, like, as I watched, I saw it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know it's 87, but like, I see the value, and someone else might put a bigger price tag on that, but I see what you do that way.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to take it back to that, but that's why, right? Like, when you're Klay, like, you're like 20, yeah, cool, I get it. But like, dudes out here are getting 8 for like very limited production.
But then you're going to look crazy out here, Raja, when you go to the Lakers and Max Christie's making $8 million, you're just making $4 million more than him. And when you could have that's why it's a tough thing to do a negotiation with so much emotion, right? Like he's purely doing this off of emotion.
Powerful.
Pride is crazy on this one.
I'm gonna go like Warriors cosplay on you, Logan, like because you made the point about Klay and like, hey, we took care of you 2 for 50, and this is definitely intel in terms of what you hear. Like, I think his response to that is like, okay, Joe, like you gave Draymond 4 for 100 after he's been suspended countless times. Where you can
punch my teammate make an argument right in front of me.
Yeah. Like you make an argument that like he helped you win titles, but he also helped you lose them at the end multiple times.
And I've been a good soldier.
I think that's it because it was such a brotherhood and a personal experience between Steph, Draymond, and Klay. I think not to be dramatic. I think it for Klay, it's kind of a heartbreaking to be the one who just gets iced at the end. I think that's probably how he sees it.
Yeah, and if it's at the expense of Draymond, who, I mean, I'm sure their relationship is, I don't know what their relationship is right now, him and Klay, but I know that they have had some strife in their relationship over the years. Like that has been a foil for Klay for the last few years, or throughout their time, right? Like just Draymond being Draymond. And for that guy, like Steph is the almighty, right? Like if he gets paid whatever, nobody can say anything. But like the nuance in those two's relationship, Klay's and Draymond's, definitely would play a point. I can see that.